Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and we are here with day 8 of my Christmas series for 2020. So for today's project, we are going to focus on a background stamp by LDRS. LDRS Creative, actually. It is a beautiful 6x6 background stamp. It's actually a 5x5 as I'm sitting here measuring it. And it's just filled with poinsettias. I am a huge fan of poinsettias, especially around the holidays. I don't know if it's because it gives me that vintage vibe that I do like a lot. But I just love the look of a poinsettia. And all shades. You know, the whites and the reds and the deep reds. And all of that. So I am going to stamp this down onto some Bristol. It's actually vellum cardstock. I bought the vellum instead of the smooth, and it works fine for me. I cut this panel to be, it's going to be about 6.5 by 6.5 or 6x6 panel. So I do cut this down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when I stamp this there, I'm going to use a black embossing powder. I just want this to have that element of shine to it for the image. Now, I am not going to cut down this image. This image is going to be very close to a 5.5, maybe like a 5 1/4 by a 5 1/4 size piece, because it's just too beautiful to trim down. The ink that I'm going to use is my VersaFine black ink. Just like with my white embossing powder, I like to use white pigment ink. For me, it's like a mental thing. Well, yes, I'm mental, but to me, it fills in the white area. Same thing when I use black embossing powder. I want to make sure that I have a really crisp image underneath it, and I just want to make sure those areas are covered as much as possible. The embossing powder that I'm going to be using is the Brutus Monroe Raven. I do like the Brutus Monroe black fine detail Raven. I just find, again, I am very particular when it comes to my embossing powders. I don't want to have to do two layers. I should be able to get one layer, one coverage, and have it be smooth. And I know that's not possible, but it's what I strive for. So by using, you know, that VersaFine and that black embossing powder, I get a wonderful image when I heat set this. Those areas that are the solid black in the background are nice and solid for the most part, and I don't have many gaps for this image. Now, what I'm going to use to color this image, I've been playing with them, are the Karin Pro brush markers. They're the ones with the ink. I've really been liking them. I do find that they work best on Bristol paper, just like our regular brush markers. So that's another reason why I chose the Bristol. So I just chose some colors from my collection of those markers, and we're just going to have fun. First, I am going to tape down my piece. One, it'll help me keep it in place so that I don't go out of camera, because let's face it, I will do that. Now, be prepared. I usually I show all of the coloring. For some reason, my phone stopped recording at some point. So there will be a good portion shown, but not everything. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in with 2 shades of green, And then I'm coming in with a water brush and making the meet in the middle. So I'm putting the darkest at the base of the leaf that's closest to the poinsettia. And then I'm coming in with the lighter color up on top. And then again, I'm dipping my brush, which you can see I switched over to. I like the feel of a paintbrush to dip into water. I think I feel I have better control over it. Water brushes, I do like them as well, but sometimes the water doesn't keep flowing, and sometimes when I push on it, it squirts all over the place. You know, they're very temperamental, like me, but, you know, don't want to have to deal with that. What I do love about these markers is you can see I am not being precise. I am scribbling the colors together. For the poinsettias themselves, I am using a red shade. I believe it's lipstick red. And then I'm actually coming in with a cocoa brown for the shading for the base of the leaves. And they mix just absolutely beautiful. What I also enjoy with these is when they dry. So I don't know, I know I've said this in a previous video, but I love watercoloring with distress inks. I love the look it gets. I love the water droplets and the way that they dry within that ink. These do the same thing, which I think is really awesomely cool. Now again, it's because of the way that I use them. I've seen so many wonderful creators use these, and they do just beautiful work. I mean, I just wanted to scribble. I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to get some color down, and just have fun with this to see what they would do. You can see if I feel I have too much water within the area, I'm using my brush just to pick that up, and push that back towards the base to make sure that's where all of my shading is. And this is pretty much how I'm coloring the whole piece. Using the two shades of gray, I'm using the red and the brown, and I'm just flipping them back and forth to each other. Some leaves, I'm making them darker because I want them to look as if they're farther back. If that makes sense. But I am a huge fan of the poinsettias. I can't have them in my house. I do have a cat, and my cat's like a goat, so he would definitely eat the poinsettia, and that's not good for cats. They're kind of poisonous. What I find fascinating when it comes to the poinsettia is the leaves turn into the colored flower. So your green leaves actually turn into that red or that white, whatever color poinsettia you have. And they usually come in 3 colors, at least in my area, and that's the white and the pink and the deep red. I went and I chose to make all of these the deep red color. I didn't want to have the variation between them. I wanted them all to have that same color because I think with the black areas in the background, I think it would just let them stand out even more. I'm taking notice of where the points are when it comes to the leaves and the petals, because where the point is, that's where my highlight is going to be. Now, by all means, if you wanted them to look curved or have a curve to them, you would want to put your highlight in the center of the petal. I'm always honest. I do not worry about the light source. I know I should, and I'm, trying to get better, but I really don't. I just go with it. I enjoy the process. I have fun. I love to try new things. Like to see if I enjoy them, to see if I'll continue with them. But yeah, I just make sure that the tips have the highlight to help them stand out. To show if there's crossover or anything like that. I did use the packaging from LDRS. When you turn that over and when you saw that, it has just the beautiful colors. So that helped to guide me as to what was going to be colored. which ones were going to be colored, you know, what was going to be red, what was going to be green. So I did use that as my guide. I was just completely inspired by that picture that they had in the back. This image is wonderful for any coloring medium that you like to use. I mean, this would absolutely be gorgeous in colored pencils, and you're all probably like, yeah, why didn't you do that? Sorry. I really wanted to play with my watercolors. Or a watercolor. And just have fun with that. Just to continue to move those colors, push them back, pick up the water so that I can continue to have those highlights. When there is water down on the petal and you just touch the tip of that brush pen to it, oh, it does wonderful things. It just fills. So you can see how, you know, it cut off. So I am so sorry about that, but you can tell it was all the same. So I am going to use my favorite tool, and it is my decal trimmer. My decal trimmer by Tim Holtz. I am absolutely in love with this. I'm sorry my camera is shaking because my stand is on the table. I am absolutely in love with this. It's just awesome. No, I have not thrown away my tear ruler. I will not. I'll hold on to it. So I took the edge of this and I'm dipping it in my Versamark. Now I hold on to that pad when I do my mixed media or I'm doing something like this because it is just trashed pretty much. And that's okay. It's not a big deal. But I wanted to dip that in there, and then I'm coming in with my gold embossing powder by Recollections, and I'm coming around the edge. And I'm going to heat set that. Now, I was not worried about it being completely cleaned and only on the edge. So this embossing powder stuck in areas up above in the poinsettias, especially on the black embossed areas, which I thought was absolutely cool. It's like speckles. It's absolutely beautiful. And I know that the camera just is not going to pick that up. Once that's set, I've grabbed a couple pieces of cardstock, one in a deep red and another one in a black. And I'm going to set a couple frames for this. So after I cut my panel down using my trimmer, it kind of went down to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I cut my red panel 5 1/2 by 5 1/2, and my black mat is going to be cut 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. There will be no sentiment for this card. There are times we do a lot to the front of our cards. And don't get me wrong, I love to add sentiments to my cards, by all means. But sometimes, you know, I'm good just making it a note card and writing a note to somebody and saying Merry Christmas. I can do that in handwriting. I don't have to put a stamp in front of all of this work that we've put onto our project. The card base that I'm using is by Tonic Studios. Every once in a while they have a great deal on a bundle. It's usually over the weekend on a bundle pack where you get 3 or 4 different sizes, and you get a pack of white and you get a pack of ivory for each of the sizes. So this is actually their 6 by 6, and they do come with envelopes. It's a deal you cannot, or I cannot pass up. So I'm very pleased with them. They are very thick cardstock, so they can take this weight with all of these layers very well. I grabbed my gold Nuvo metallic drops, and I'm going into the centers, and I'm literally just dabbing it as I'm putting pressure on the container to get some gold droplets onto that card. So that is our project for day 8 of my Christmas series for 2020. I do hope you enjoyed it. Again, dig into your stash. See what background stamp you have. Pull out those watercolors that you already have, or use those inks, those dye inks that are water reacted. They will be just fine as well. Just remember, though, to enjoy the process. Have fun with it. Enjoy the art that you are creating. As always, the products that I use will be listed down below in the video description. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below, and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. Smile, laugh, enjoy your day. Stay safe and healthy as we continue through our journey. But most of all, remember what's most important for me. Just do it a little bit each day. Always be creative. Till next time, guys. Take care.